So most of us have probably heard that we should use separate brushes for our fine detail work and, let's say, dry brushing, because dry brushing typically destroys your brushes. I'm looking for an example here. Actually, I have a note on that as well I should cover, but it's pretty common for people to say that you should change out your water before you change between your metallics and your regular pigment paints, just so that you don't contaminate your paint pots with metallic metal flake. You know, you can do that if you want, or you cannot, but it makes sense to me enough, and so I try not to do that. But well, anyway, something that doesn't come up is that having separate brushes for metallic paints is something that I have found is really critical for me if I want to maintain a fine edge on a detail brush. I've noticed through use that if I take a brand new brush and I use it, I want to transition from using it from regular pigment paint to using it for metallics, that it tends to, the metallic gets stuck in the fibers of the brush a lot more than typical paint. So the reason I believe that this is true is it would make sense to me that metal flake is more dense and probably sharper than regular pigment, and therefore it just clings to the fibers of your brush hair more than pigment. Pigment is probably like gravel, as where metal pigment or metal flake is probably more like broken glass. Now, regardless of if I'm right or wrong, what I do know is that I have a way harder time getting metallics out of my brushes than I do with regular pigment paints. So I actually have 3 kinds of brushes currently, and that you could possibly have more, and I have duplicates of the same exact brush, like once I find one that works for me. So I'll have my pigment one, and I'll have my metallics one, and sometimes I'll even have a dry brush version, because dry brush, they get mangled. What will happen in particular if I have like a detail brush, once I get metallic in there, especially like at the base of the bristles, it'll start to swell, and that just kind of wrecks the tip. I also wanted to say, like, if you can imagine the hairs of your brushes zoomed in under like a microscope are porous, and you know, if you've got gravel rolling around in it, like tiny bits of gravel are going to get lodged in those pores, but shards of glass or metal are really going to embed themselves in there. And so yeah, the reason I decided to do this video is because, once again, it was like, if I made it perfect, I'd never make it. So it's been rolling around my head. I decided to shoot it, and because I just accidentally grabbed my pigment brush and dipped it in my metallics the day before yesterday, and I was like, darn it, and I got to make this video. So in my opinion, I would advise you, once you find a brush that you really like, that you want to use for a certain level of detail, get 2 of them and mark. I try to mark mine and keep them in separate jars or what have you, my metallics and pigments. Now, on another note, I mentioned dry brushing. Another mistake, because that's pretty much what this video series is consists of, is basically there's a lot of new people, I'm new, and I'm going to try and share the mistakes I make so that it might save other people save them one more mistake, because it really sucks sometimes. But with dry brushing, mistake that I made there is I have way too many dry brushes that I'll never use, because I kept buying, kind of like shopping for shirts, keep buying the wrong ones, and then I found the right one. Okay, these cost a couple bucks each. This was 50 cents, and this is more like a makeup brush. And if you follow Tabletop Minions, you'll probably have seen that recently Adam did a video based on another YouTuber's video about using actual makeup brushes for dry brushing. But this is, the point being, very, very soft. Okay, I thought these were soft, and and they're not. Compared to this, this is like a kitten's tail. This is like, I don't know, it's a different animal that has harder hair. The mistake I've made is because dry brushing is extra aggressive, you want the softest bristles as possible, because what's happened to me is I'll have like a white undercoat and I'm dry brushing someone's face or something, and I'm like, oh, it's getting lighter, it's, I'm putting those highlights on there. It's no, I'm actually tearing the paint off and revealing the white primer underneath, which was its own painful lesson, unless that's something you want to do. I actually saw a video of a guy doing Hot Wheel cars where he painted rust and then he put some kind of like layer over the rust and then painted white paint over it, and then came back and dabbed away the white paint with that like sub layer and actually peeled off bits of the white paint to reveal the rust underneath. That looked super, super realistic and cool. Another simple, easy tip out of mistakes. Thanks for watching.